For the last 5 years, I have advocated and pushed for an end to the drug war, primarily because it's a catalyst for a lot of the policing that, Minnesota just got burnt down over. All right. When you have all of these different people, fair term to use, sitting here screaming about, I can't breathe, stop killing us. And you've witnessed this for the past 30, 40 years. I'm old. I was there for the LA riots. I was there for I've been around because I wasn't in LA at the time, but I've been around for riots all over the country, talking about police injustice. And it genuinely feels as if nothing, no real solutions are ever offered, just more chaos than gentrification afterwards. And I see the exact same thing taking place again. It's like Groundhog's Day when it comes to what's going on in Minnesota. And it's infuriating having conversations with people who genuinely believe that somehow, some way, this is going to change. That these violent outbursts do anything other than, lower property value and deprive the regular citizens and the innocent of, of their pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. Because ultimately, how do I put this? I believe that you can't put the actions of one person on everybody within, saying just because they share a skin color or they share a religion or they share, just some arbitrary, they're the same height, like it's really, really silly, and it makes absolutely no sense. And ultimately, one of the things that I believe this channel is about is recognizing reality, recognizing the world that we live in, and knowing that we can't always get our way. But that's just not how everyone's built right now. Everyone is in their feelings. Everyone's very emotional. And while you're being emotional, you are just so easy to manipulate. Freaking Trump tweeted one word, China. People lost their freaking minds. And it's sad. It really is. So I had this fine chick up on the screen primarily because, I needed something to work off of here. And, we like Erica Leshai. Okay, we think she's sexy. As far as a lot of the things she say, it's pretty nutty, but it gives me an opportunity to just further discuss, because she at least wants to come up with, she's trying on the whole solution thing, but her solutions things, well, that's what this video is for. We're about to get into why her solutions just can't work at all. But ultimately, at least it's trying to bring something to the table as opposed to just going out looting and rioting. And oh yeah, before we begin, thugs. Thugs is not a racial term. It just isn't. I know plenty of white thugs, plenty of I know a lot of dudes named Angel that you don't want to mess with. That's a soft name, just hard as a rock. Well, you say like looking like Danny Trejo and shit. So like thugs is not a racial term by any stretch of the imagination, but but because of the projection and this blanket of femininity, particularly over the collective of blackness, where like a lot of dudes raised by single mothers, a lot of people just who the welfare state in and of itself helped incentivize their emotions and their pleas for generations at this point. So this is what we're dealing with. And we have to start separating the children from the adults. There's a reason it's women and children on the boats first, and that's because as men, what masculinity is supposed to do is supposed to provide a proper counterbalance to the feminine, which is running amok right now. When you got the CV situation, now you got the whole riot situation, and just everything being as nutty as it is. So I think her name's Leshai. I'm not sure, but either ways, let's get into this video she's produced, and she flying as hell. But we cannot, gentlemen, we cannot allow that to be we can't allow that voodoo to take over our logical and reasonable mind. So let's get into it.
for separation. And I'm just gonna say that. I don't want to integrate. I don't want to be included in nothing they got going on. I don't want none of that.
Problem is that it wasn't your call to make, sweetheart. Because now she's sitting here talking about, oh, I don't want to integrate. Sweetheart, it's done. That ship sailed. That ship sailed back in the 60s. like particularly when it comes to descendants, because everybody, I mean, not, I don't want to say everybody, but a large segment of people present themselves as descendants. Whereas, we are actually of this American land. We've been here all this time, all these generations, and we've seen all of these things take place, which is why it's so infuriating to me to witness others come in and be like, oh yeah, well, they treating us so bad, and this is like slavery. These are modern day lynchings. And it's like, no, my man, his knees on his neck, like technically in a way, possibly, but still not what you're drawing from. That boy Diddy had Amy Schumer and Sean King on his on a podcast for saying a family meeting. Y'all gotta get together and have a family. I keep telling y'all, these entertainers are just, they're trash, guys. The entertainers are trash. But she's not an entertainer. She has a way larger following than me, but then again, she's hot. And so you can sit there when they're hot like this, you could take that information, they can kind of just like manipulate you into basically agreeing with them. We are biologically wired, fellas, to be like, oh well, she's pretty, so whatever she wants. And unfortunately, we can no longer afford to allow that mindset to allow our boners to make these decisions for us. I'm sorry.
And when I say something like that, it seems like I'm racist, right? Oh, black people get scared. Oh, wait a minute. You're trying to reverse civil rights. Blah, blah. No, I'm not trying to reverse civil rights, but let's just think about it. Because we think about separation, and we think that means like we have to hate everyone else and not deal with them. That's not what that means. Separation is Koreatown. Separation is Little Tokyo. Separation is Chinatown.
Separation is also a little Haiti. Separation is, like there's a ton of little cultural spaces that people come to from other countries, and basically it's their space. Everything's written in Chinese. Like, I've been to Chinatown. I've been to multiple Chinatowns. Everything's written in Chinese, and they sell and stuff like that, but they keep everything within them. It's not much different than the reservations. And back in the 60s, back when these decisions and choices were being made, before at least before I got here. I don't know how old you are, but these choices were made long before we got here. So when it comes to integration, that was what won out, right? And we went about life for 30, 40 years, where we had our lethal weapons and all these different examples of us getting along together and working together. And hey, that by the books white guy and that cool swagged out black dude. I'm thinking about Men in Black right now. Like, oh man, it's so entertaining. It was such a good time. Like, working together and figuring things out, because you can mix a little bit of the old school with the new school and make a better combination. And that was really what this country was getting to, but all of a sudden it's just like, and it's not really all of a sudden, because ultimately, and the Will Smith quote keeps floating around, oh, racism is just being filmed now. You damn right. Racism's just being filmed. So why are we acting surprised? Like, is it sad? Is it messed up? Yes, of course. But would I ever encourage you to go throw your life away because of something that happened to somebody else? No. Would I ever encourage you to, what's the term? Go after, because I recently saw that one guy, Antonio Moore, he was posting about the cop's wife. And I'm just like, why? Why would you do that? There's literally no point. But because there's this manufactured, and media driven, a desire to, oh my goodness, so they're victims, they're so oppressed, they're victims, oh my goodness. Like it really has, like, highlighted and illustrated and accelerated racial tensions that, it happens every decade or so. It boils over in one specific spot, and then we tend to, like, that spot right there, it gets renewed, people move out, people move in, and business as per usual, because this is a pretty gigantic lot of land. And if if there was ever a desire to create a little, saying little Harlem, I guess, because like a little black space, it's possible, it can be done. But the deal is that our community, from the moment, particularly when it comes to our men, from the moment we're born, it's like, hey, you're on your own, buddy. Best of luck. Like, really, you got to go get it for yourself. Once you hit 18, best of luck to you out there in the world. And that's what having a father prepares you for. But I'm getting a bit off topic. Ultimately, when it comes to this whole separation thing, it's complete. The reason it can't work is because it's antithetical to everything that had come before. Like, they wanted to integrate. They wanted to be they wanted equal treatment. And in many respects, they got it, but it came with a price. A price that included the welfare state, the price that included the drug war, the price that included, the prison cattle farms that a lot of urban communities have turned into, where, they're brought up in these deteriorated and degraded areas with little to no hope. And thusly, they end up with little to no hope. One of the more infuriating, I guess, charities that I've seen is when they were, all excited. Like, you had Ellen and you had the Obamas, you had everybody all excited about West Side High School in Newark, where, speaking of Newark, yeah, it was the originator of the riots, been going through gentrification ever since. But in West Side and Newark, the kids were coming to school so dirty, so dingy, that they had an entire laundromat put in there. And instead of people cherishing themselves and cherishing their families enough to be able to, like, want to stick together and want to raise a kid that doesn't have to worry about dirty clothes because, they have parents that are taking care of them, that's not what's been the game plan for oh so long. But that's the thing. In many eyes, it can't be, it has to, like the quote unquote black people cannot be wrong. And that's infantilization, guys. It really is. Let's finish up our video.
Separation is little Mexico. That's what separation is. Little India. That's separation. And in every major city, you have that. You have all these communities where they are, and they own that space, and they police their own communities, and the money circulates within that community. That's separation. But where's ours? Because I'm not down in that. I don't down it. When I go into Koreatown in LA, where everything is in Korean, and me as an American, I can't read it, I don't get mad.
So if you an American, why are you wearing those Africa earrings, sweetheart? I mean, seriously, they sold you, right? They sold us. I hate that. I hate it when people were like, oh man, we were stolen from. Nah, champ. Africa ain't got no love for us, man. For real. Descendants, Africa don't like you. It's a big part of the reason why I'm like, yeah, the whole black thing, you can keep that, because you're not affiliated with me. We are not the same thing at all. But hey, let's keep listening.
That's what they built for themselves. When I go to East LA, it's Mexico, basically. Everything in Spanish, I can't read it as an American. I don't get mad, but that's separation.
Yeah, and honestly, like, like the Watts riots, like all like LA and all these different spaces, particularly the ones that gone through the riots, yeah, they going through the gentrification thing too. It was about replacement, for the most part. Like, hey, okay, oh well, you want to get all uppity, nigger? Bet we can do it without you. And that's exactly what's taking place. That's why there's been migrations from point A to point B, with a hotspot being Atlanta right now. But even there, it's like, yikes! It really is that oasis that she looks for. It could have been built a long time ago. Actually, there were oases such as that back in the day, but integration and as well as land and property and all these other things that she brought up, but were never that wasn't a part of the package deal for descendants. I'm sorry, we were sold up a river a long time ago during the signing of the Civil Rights Act. And ever since then, it's been one policy after the other that has been touted as something to help when ultimately it's done nothing but harm and hurt. But a lot of people aren't ready for these conversations.
They have it. Where's ours? How come we don't have some little Africa or whatever we want to call it? I don't know.
Well, that's because after the signing of the Civil Rights Act, our communities became far more matriarchal because the men were basically just sold up a river for the drug war, for child support, and all of these other policies that have been enacted for the longest time. So with the men gone, it's been the women who have been running things. Ladies, you've run these communities for 30, 40 years now, and you've run them directly into the ground. Okay, make absolutely no mistake. You get butthurt, you get emotional, and you have what's the name? And you will choose security over freedom 10 times out of 10. And as a man, I can't knock you for it because you are the weaker sex. But when we sit here and we look at the larger scope, at the culture, at the at descendants and the situation descendants currently find themselves in as a whole, it's primarily because the men were sold up a river in exchange for the welfare state. And to a point where, hey, you see the culture, you see the Cardi B's in the world, you see the images that are projected and portrayed of black women who are masculine as all hell. And that's one thing I will give Erica here. She is not masculine. She's very beautiful, but at the same time, there's that blind spot that she has where it's like, oh well, we've done nothing wrong. No, there's been plenty done wrong. And to pretend as if there hasn't been the increase in the 900% increase in elected officials of color since the since the signing of the Civil Rights Act, and they went out of their ways to make sure that manufacturing and production and decent work for just good people who want to raise a family to leave these areas, leave these communities, and didn't fight for them for a second. Because they knew that with the woman vote, with the welfare state as popping as it was, they could basically get their way and run things however they so desired. And that's exactly what's taken place in Newark and Essex County since the Newark riots, and it continues to take place all over urban America to this very moment. So guys, with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you like to toss a like, dislike, go ahead and do that too. Nobody's scared of you. Sub. If you enjoy my fantastic voice and you want to get videos like this every single day, share because sharing is caring. And YouTube and Bitchute and aren't the biggest fans of your boy over here for very obvious reasons. Bang the bell for notifications and speak. Let me know. What do you guys think in the comments? This is, it's infuriating because there are so many people who are so wrapped up in their emotions and unwilling to have a to touch on something that the president tweeted. He tweeted, oh, these thugs. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, dude, thugs is not a racial term at all. But what do? Oh, they project their own biases and their own mindsets onto, whatever it is he says, and thusly, interpret it how you shall. And they decide to interpret it as racial. And oh my goodness, I'm the mother of a black son. Well, you know what? Make sure he got a daddy. Start there. It really is. It really just grinds the gears to see the exact same people who put the young men in the positions to, not know how to deal with authority, not know how to deal with conflict. You put them in those positions, then turn around and cry about how you're fighting for them. It is disingenuous and it's a lie. But you may disagree. And if you do, that's what my comment section's for. Until the next one.